The Sean Combs trial resumes today with one of his accusers back on the stand.
Prosecutors will continue questioning Cassandra Ventura before cross-examination by the defense. Yesterday, Ventura testified Combs was often physically abusive and controlling during their 10-year relationship that included forcing her into so-called freak-offs where she had sex with strangers while Sean Combs watched. Ventura said that she did it to fulfill his fantasy and make him happy, and also testified about Combs hitting her many times, including the incident in a hotel hallway in 2016 that was captured on security cameras.
Joining us now to discuss is legal analyst Areva Martin. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Larry and Robin.
Do her comments mitigate the argument that this was trafficking and racketeering when she, I don't know if she's a willing participant, but she seemed to be agreeable based on what her comments were?
Well, I didn't hear anything that suggested that she was agreeable at all, Larry.
She said she wanted to fulfill her husband's fantasies and she wanted to make him happy.
Well, she also said that she felt she couldn't leave and that if she did not participate in these freak-offs, that she would face retribution, that she might be blackmailed, and that her whole career could be ruined. So let's be very clear. What she described yesterday in her testimony was psychological manipulation. And it was, in fact, coercion. And that's all the prosecution has to prove for sex trafficking, is that she was forced or coerced to participate in commercial sex acts. And when we talk about the strangers that she was having sex with, the majority of the people we know from the prosecution were commercial sex workers who were transported across state lines. And that is the simple facts that have to be established by the prosecution to get a conviction under the Mann Act, which is one of the charges that he's been, that's one of the charges against Sean Diddy Combs. And let's talk about that RICO charge. You all very familiar with the use of RICO in cases like this because of the R. Kelly trial that happened right there in Chicago. So we know that prosecutors have become very skilled at using RICO, federal statute, to prosecute the kinds of predators like Sean Diddy Combs.
Talk about the impact of, I mean, Cassie is 8 months pregnant and she's recalling all of these details, which are horrific. Talk about the impact something like that has on the jury, regardless of where it falls as far as charges, sitting on a jury and hearing a witness testify to things like that.
Wow, it has to be incredibly powerful, persuasive. I have talked with lawyers who were inside the courtroom and other reporters, and they said it was the most chilling testimony they've ever heard. It's one of the most horrific accounts of abuse, sexual abuse that they have witnessed. And yes, to have her in her 8th month of pregnancy have to recount those horrific details of Sean Diddy Combs urinating on her while this sex worker was also urinating on her, Sean Diddy Combs controlling every aspect of these freak-offs, including the positions that she had to be in, including the nail polish that she wore, and then the physical violence, having bruises all over her body, knots on her head, black eyes, and learning that the video that has been played now 5 times for the jury of her running in that lobby was her trying to get away from one of those.
Based on what you're saying, is there any card that the defense has left to play? What strategy do they have left?
Well, you know, Larry, trials are marathons. Good days for the prosecution, good days for the defense. And I don't want to suggest that the defense is not going to do the best job that they can with the evidence that will be presented in this case. But they have a Herculean task ahead of them, trying to convince, I think, a juror, any juror, and particularly this jury pool, that this is not coercion, this is not sex trafficking, this is not consistent with the prosecution's case, that Sean Diddy Combs is not guilty of the charges that have been brought against him. But it's early on in the trial. I don't have a crystal ball. We don't know where this is going to go. There are lots of witnesses that will be called by the prosecution. And there will be witnesses, I'm sure, for the defense that will talk about aspects of this case that will paint Cassie Ventura and some of the other victims in a negative light. We've seen that play out in many of these high-profile cases before. So we all have to kind of sit back and wait. But if we are scoring this, the score is for the prosecution. A good day for them on yesterday.
Well, thank you for joining us, Areva. We appreciate it. We'll keep an eye on that trial, of course, and check back in with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to other news now. Google